Join me as I explore the exciting world of model railways with behind-the-scenes features, step-by-step tutorials, interviews, videos, reviews and much, much more. I'm Dawn Quest and I love building model railways.
Canterbury, birthplace of William Shakespeare, and of course home to the Marlow Theatre, named after his most famous play. Canterbury Cathedral is the third largest in the whole of Kent, only dwarfed by Rochester and of course Downton Abbey. The main reason visitors flock to Canterbury is to experience the second oldest Wetherspoons in the whole of the country, which dates back to circa 22 years ago AD. And as you're aware, the chain was formerly branded Weatherforks, after its original name, Weather Knives, didn't cut it, to put it bluntly. Another interesting fact, of course, is...
Grumpy cameraman.
What?
I know you're getting, a lot of likes.
Yeah, likes, yeah.
And comments and fans.
And fans, yeah. People only watch it because of me. Hi to Colin and Loco47. Thank you for subscribing to my channel.
Well, remember you're a cameraman.
Yeah.
And, well, there are other professional cameramen around.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm not saying anything, but... Well, wait and see. Can we just get on with it?
All right.
Thanks.
It's freezing outside, but it's certainly warming up in here. We've got exhibits, we've got traders. It's just about to get started. Welcome to the City of Canterbury Model Railway Show.
So, full steam ahead then. Wait a minute guys, where are you going? The exhibition's this way. And with the crowd starting to arrive through the door, let's start with some OOO gauge. Starting with Outwell Village by Alan Price, a OOO gauge exhibition layout built to fine-scale standards. The period is post-Second World War and depicts the largest intermediate depot on the Wisbech and Upwell tramway. The tramway was built to service the Fens, bringing fruit and other produce to the rest of the rail network. From the Fens to a little Alpine air with Santa Maria, a Swiss HO gauge by Dan Spalding. The model is based on Dan's visits to the region in 2006 and 2008. It imagines an RHB station serving the settlement of Santa Maria as well as its near neighbour, Valkova. Two end-to-end layouts now from Ollie Turner and Chris Matthews.
Hiya, I'm Chris, and this is the layout Session Bois, which is our French layout. And this one behind me on the other side is Bottom Work Sidings, which is our layout set in South Yorkshire in the early 1970s. We didn't actually build it ourselves, so we bought it as a ready-made layout. There's a gentleman called Chris Baker who made the layout, and it's an absolute masterpiece. Put our own mark on it in a few different ways with the rolling stock. Pretty much in terms of scenery, it's exactly as it was when we purchased it. We've changed the era slightly, so we've moved it from a sort of 1960s, 1970s era through to very late 70s, early 80s, which suits our interests a bit more in terms of stock. Bottom work side is supposed to be a small set of exchange sidings that's set in the early 70s, just off the Woodhead route, so it's pretty typical in terms of what it is, just 3 reception roads and British Steel and British Rail switch wagons between one another. The idea is that it's access to a coking plant, and trains arrive behind BR as empty coke trains and get picked up by British Steel, taken into the coke works. The loaded coke trains come back out, and then coal loaded goes in to go through the coking process and then comes back out as empties.
It may be small, but it's perfectly formed. This is Coal House, a OOO gauge by Peter Chandler, and represents part of a larger complex. This layout can operate for any period from about the 1940s on, with changes to stock and vehicles. The North Cornwall Brewery is a fictitious industrial line by Malcolm Briggs and is situated near Camelford in Cornwall, feeding off the line to Padstow. It's set in the 1960s, not long before the North Cornwall line was closed, leaving this part of the country without any railways at all. In between all the talking and chatting and filming and talking to other exhibitors, I was also at the Canterbury show to exhibit this brief encounter monochrome layout. So remember I mentioned other cameramen?
Yeah, what about it? Who's he?
I am. I'm really pleased.
Dawn.
I'm quite fond of this layout.
Dawn.
Have you been a bit
Dawn.
the highlight?
Dawn. Dawn.
Are you getting a lot of the old
Dawn.
He was nice, wasn't he?
Who?
Joe from ITV News.
It's alright.
It's nice to have a pleasant cameraman around for a change. Was my lipstick all right?
No.
I'll leave grumpy cameraman to have a little sulk. On to Old Parrock, which is a small halt and coal yard on a fictitious line at the northern edge of Ashdown Forest in East Sussex. One of the many reasons I love speaking to creators and builders of model railway layouts is to hear what sparked the inspiration in the first place. And as Ashdown Forest is a very special place close to my heart, I especially loved this imagining by Paul Rhodes.
Well, the inspiration is the area where I grew up in northeast Sussex, and in particular, there's I found an old photograph of a mill that was demolished in about 1930, and I had this feeling that I wanted to know what it looked like, you know. So I recreated it, and then the rest of the layout came around it. And this building here was the miller's cottage, which still exists, so I was able to get some good photos of it and, you know, do a bit of brick counting and work out its dimensions. So it's OOO gauge using Pico bullhead track. The locos are ready to run, mainly because I felt if I had to build my own it would take forever, even with a small layout. It took about 2.5 years to build, and it's DCC, which I really like because of the slow running.
I like the challenge, especially when Paul is devious and puts more wagons on than we can fit in the fiddle yard. But it's really engrossing. It's a bit like an Inglenook style shunting process, but no, it's just engrossing. The DCC especially, I don't use it on my own layout, but having the sound options as well, it's just good fun.
I think I just like it when someone says, oh, I feel I'm in it, which sometimes people do, and that makes me feel good about it, really.
On to N-Gauge now, and another Swiss layout. This is Alpine, exhibited by John Brightwell.
Well, Alpine was developed by several members of the Surrey group way back in about 2003, something like that, and it had its first exhibition in the exhibition centre of the Eurotunnel, and since then it's been out in exhibition a number of times. This is the first time it's been out since COVID. I've improved it in the sense of digital operation. I've made it a little bit more portable by building boxes for it. We've put backboards on it to give it some sky. It's really nice to have all the parts operating. We have a cable car. We should have some Alpines eventually. Yes, it's just a lovely layout, I feel. I love Swiss railways and the scenery is very Swiss. I also love the fact that you can run long trains, very realistic trains, and generally it just reminds me of the lovely holidays we've had in Switzerland for the last 20-30 years with our children. So yeah, it's a lovely layout.
The City of Canterbury Model Railway Society clearly loves a challenge, as demonstrated by Diddley Junction, an exercise to see how many quarts can be squeezed into a pint pot. Perhaps their next challenge can be to see how many Diddley Junctions they can squeeze into Lisworth Bay. This stunning layout from John Spence is bright and airy and absolutely beautiful, showing the London and South Western Railway as it forges its way southwest during the 19th century, sprouting branches to coastal towns on its way. Lisworth Bay was one of these, but sadly the whole branch was condemned to be closed as part of the Beeching Report, and trains last ran in the early autumn of 1966. The trackbed has recently become a cycle route. On to some more unusual gauges now, and this one is a OOO. If pure nostalgia is what you're looking for, then look no further than this. 4 Feather Falls by Steve Searson.
The Lone Star equipment was 3 phases. from say 57 to 59. It's a all metal push-along system with a track gauge of about 8.2 millimetre. And from 1960 they developed a electric system, which we have here, and that went from say 60 to 65 when the range was in trouble, like Triang, Hormy OOO. So it kind of fizzled out 65 and re-emerged as another push-along system that lasted somewhere 78, 79. That was available as a collector's series in Woolworths, and it disappeared. Some of the molds were sold abroad, some of the stuff was copied, and then the company wound up about 82. I started collecting this early 80s. Two of my friends had Lone Star, and basically we just set it up on the carpet and it just worked. Some of it was like sort of like push along, it was all sorts of basic stuff.
If you're trying to choose between two different gauges for your layout, why not have both? As is the case with Whittenden, exhibited by the Tunbridge Model Railway Club.
It was decided to build a narrow gauge layout, depicting a sort of Kent-Sussex borders area in the sort of mid-50s. And because some members are into the 016-5, which is the larger size, I was into the 09, which is the smaller scale. So we sort of combined the two to make it a dual gauge layout. And it's been a labour of love, as I say, for about 15 years or more. I suppose my pièce de résistance is the gates, because I made the level crossing work. But it was a suggestion. I said, well, it'd be nice if we could have a working one. And of course, that's our unwritten rule. Whoever suggests something, they actually get to do it.
Lego fans, step this way. This is the Lego City Railway by Brian Cornwall, and is a layout that's been built up over 20 years. As you'd expect from Lego, it's bright, it's fun, it's colourful. Last but by no means least is Conyer Creek Signals, an O gauge by Greg Coomer. This layout was an absolute crowd pleaser at the show, lots of people trying to get close to see it in operation. The layout is based on a line that runs from Tenningham to the Swale at Conyer on the North Kent coast. Greg's attention to detail speaks for itself. After a busy day, it's time to let our hair down with the other exhibitors, traders and members of the City of Canterbury Model Railway Society at the after-show drinks.
Colin, mate, over here. Colin, you're one of my fans. Colin, look at me, Logo 47, it's me, Grumpy. Hello.
Shall I get Grumpy Cameraman a drink? I'll let him sulk just a little bit longer. If you like this video, please do like, share and subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of all my future videos.